Hey folks, how's it going? My name is Jaxsun. Today we're going to be doing a rundown of one of my favorite classes over the expansions over the years, Ret Paladin. Now Ret's in an okay spot in terms of Mythic Plus. It's not going to set any world firsts in terms of pushing the highest keys in the game, but you can easily rely on it to carry you through maxing out your weekly loot without any kind of issue. So we're going to jump into what you're seeing on your screen right away. From a talent build perspective, you're going to want to roll with Zeal. Nothing beats Zeal. Nothing else. Both Righteous Verdict is outclassed, and Execution Sentence is just not even in the conversation. As far as Tier 2, Imperium Power is the way to go. Just slightly ahead of Blade of Wrath, depending on if you know the dungeon. You may want to talk yourself into Blade of Wrath, or you like to jump over to do a little bit more single target damage. Realistically, for the majority of us, Imperium Power is the way to go. Tier 3, all the utility abilities do get some use. I usually stick with Fist of Justice on my Ret. It's pretty easy to use, but Blinding Light, because it's a stun, because it's we'll call it a disorient, you can actually use it to interrupt non-interruptible abilities. So if you really want to try to improve, we'll call it the flow of your game and make life a little bit easier for your tank and your healer, learn how to incorporate Blinding Light. Tier 4, Unbreakable Spirit is just the way to go. It's by far the best all-around choice. Tier 5, you've got a little bit more of a choice now. Divine Purpose is pretty efficient. So if you're trying to reduce the number of really items that you need to track, not looking to push the top parses out there, Divine Purpose allows you to have really smooth gameplay. Alternatively, you could go with Seraphim. Seraphim's in a pretty awesome spot. It can be a little difficult to push it to the maximum benefit, but if you do go with this talent, if you're going with Kyrian, it should be pretty. It's going to be the way that you find out how to do the max DPS that you're trying to do. Tier 6, either Selfless Healer or Healing Hands can have some utility here. I usually go with Selfless Healer because I usually just try to drop a heal on myself as we're transitioning between mobs, or we've got a half a second. Healing Hands is okay if you're using Lay on Hands a lot, or you're looking to do some spot healing to help out your healer if you're going to be using Word of Glory. Now, Tier 7, that's where we've got a little bit more discussion. Sanctified Wrath is the easiest choice overall. Just having Avenging Wrath up 25% longer literally makes life that much easier for you. However, again, if you're looking to just totally maximize your damage, Final Reckoning is a pretty competitive alternative to Sanctified Wrath. Just kind of depends on what your comfort is with the class. So Tier 5, Tier 7, if you go with Talent 3, you're looking to push the max, but remember there's risk there, and that's tied to you being comfortable with your rotation. Alternatively, Divine Purpose, Sanctified Wrath could make for a pretty easy flow. Prop Pal's in a little bit of an interesting spot with these, Ret Paladin is in a bit of an interesting spot with this 9.15 changes that are rolling out. Right now, and I'll pull this up, this is a little data pull here that I always like to reference. So Kyrian's showing that they're at 77%. So almost 4 out of every 5 Ret Paladins are rocking Kyrian right now. And like, no wonder. If anyone's tried Divine Toll, it is so much fun. Incredibly satisfying. Venthyr, 17%. That's a little bit lower than the distribution you see. Venthyr's almost at 21 for Protection Paladins. But at the end of the day, Venthyr is coming in a very distant second to Kyrian. And Necrolord and Night Fae were kind of trailing the rear with about 3% each. Now, Necrolord is going to see some buffs. That's one of the announced changes that we've seen so far. Vanquisher's Hammer is increasing the effectiveness of your free holy power spender that it provides. So, okay, Necrolord ability getting a little more effective. Um, what Blizz has decided to do is absolutely buff Righteous Might, and that's a Necrolord conduit and they're going to increase the damage it provides by about 400%. So that's how they're going to try to sweeten the pot and get us to try to tiptoe over into Necrolord. You're not getting me off Kyrian yet, Blizz, but we'll see what plays out. Additionally, they've applied a few buffs to the Blessings of Seasons, which is the Night Fae Covenant ability. Blessing of Spring increases your healing done by 15%. It was 10. Your healing received by 30%. It was 20. So like, that's almost attractive if you're a prop pal or maybe a holy pal. Blessing of Winter now reduces the hostile target's attack speed and movement speed by 5% per stack. It used to be 3. I don't know. I don't think we're about to see Rets, Night Fae Rets in PvP yet, but you could start to pull that in. Really, it's that Blessing of Winter. Its damage has been increased by 40%. That's really the element where Blizz is saying, like, okay, we want to do everything we can to pull a few more paladins over to these other specs. That's kind of the big changes that we're seeing so far from the talent, from a stat perspective. Like, haste is still like king of your secondary stats. Definitely reduces your not just your global cooldowns and your ability cooldowns, but just makes your auto attacks go faster. So hard to beat. Mastery continues to increase all holy damage done. Versatility gives you more damage, lets you heal more and take less damage. So really underrated. I felt this way in Legion, actually. At the end of that expansion, I was in a guild and one of the Rets who was pushing a really high parse was just incredibly stacked, had everything socketed in versatility, and they were making some massive damage. So interested to see if anybody goes with that approach with 9.15. And then Crit just maintains its standard ability to double up your damage or healing. What's neat is, like, if you use your Expurgation conduit, which really creates a bit of a burn down with your Blade of Wrath or Blade of Justice or Blade of Wrath if you go to the talent, it could actually start to get a little attractive there to go with more of a crit build. But ultimately, I'll let you sim yourselves to figure out if that's how you want to roll. Overall, crit's usually the least beneficial stat for all of us in the Ret world. So, long story short, burst AoE on Rets is still fantastic, like very strong, really steady single target burst. Helpful utilities, like, I don't know, Ret Paladin's still a lot more useful than a Feral, and Feral's got pretty similar, if not better, utilities. And it's got pretty good self-sustain for a hybrid class. So, yeah, Ret's still continuing to be in a really good spot. Yeah, no real major changes to its standard abilities. So, that's over it. Ret's not in a terrible spot. It's not in a great spot. It's just kind of in a middle spot for the time being. So, drop it down in the comments, folks. Let me know what this old boomer pal should be doing next. Thanks for checking out my video. Let me know the things you'd like to see, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Later.